Welcome to Bold Talk Series, where creativity, leadership, ideas, innovation come together. My name is Epi Ludvik, and today I have a privilege to have a short one-on-one conversation with Nick Rosa, a Technology Innovation Director Europe at Accenture. Nick, great to see you. Welcome to our Bold Talk Series. How are you?
I'm very good, Epi. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Great to have you, Nick, and looking forward to this great conversation. Nick, tell us what sparked your passion for immersive technology and digital transformation.
Well, it goes way back. I've always been working in the field of emerging technologies, both when I started my career in the gaming industry and also when I moved to broadcasting and media. But was when I started working at Spotify in the UK that I started cutting my teeth, and that was 2009. I started cutting my teeth with mobile technology. At the time, we were creating the mobile app for Spotify. And I had the pleasure to work with the mobile team in some advisory role. And this ignited my passion for product creation using emerging technologies. At the time, mobile and especially the App Store was something that was quite new. And I saw the potential for that. And after a couple of years, I moved on to full on mobile transformation and mobile development across 3 different agencies that were doing great mobile products. I launched more than 60 mobile application. And then it was at IBM while I was leading the mobile transformation team for Europe, media and entertainment industry, that everything exploded, especially when it comes to the integration of third-party platforms like Twitter and big fire hose and echoes of data into mobile application in order to provide really transformative experiences to the people that were using my apps. And also those times, obviously, there was the explosion of the VR industry with the first Kickstarter for Oculus. And I said, okay, I want to connect my passion for mobile technologies that obviously at that time was used for the Oculus devices with my passion for gaming that goes way back. I actually studied journalism because I wanted to be a full-time video game journalist at the time. And I purchased my first headset when I was 19. So I said, okay, I want to go into immersive technologies, and that's the direction I want to go. And after about a year that I spent at IBM trying to push this technology into a company that was way more focused into legacy technologies and legacy systems, I had this call from Accenture to go and lead their European team for extended reality, they were calling it at the time. And we grew the business substantially across 6 years that this thing lasted. And now I moved on to a new role that is comprising all the emerging technologies, not just mobile, and not just immersive technologies and VR, but also AI and quantum computing and space economy, new biomaterial, and you name it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Working with the such companies like Spotify and Google, what did these experiences teach you how you lead today in the work environment?
Look, I believe that every work experience gives you something. I believe that what I learned from all of the companies I worked for, in particular for Spotify and for Google, was the bleeding edge of product life cycle. So at the time, while I've been working for them, we used the fully agile methodologies in order to do everything that we were doing. And I realized that, and this wasn't very much used yet in Europe, but obviously working for companies that were so at the bleeding edge of the technology, especially at the time Google way back, and then after that in 2009 Spotify, I realized that the rapid iteration was fundamental in order to create something that was generating value immediately whenever deployed. And passion for innovation arrived when I moved to IBM, because there I had the privilege of being formally trained at the Apple campus in user-centric design. And also design thinking. I'm a practitioner and a trainer. And this became basically the fulcrum and the heart and of everything that I'm doing even right now. So having the problem as a starting point to create anything that's could be innovative, and the business objective as the final end. So having this kind of arrow of this kind of vector of direction in the innovation process is becoming my mantra and my North Star. So obviously, companies like Accenture instead amplified my passion for the large ecosystems and not being locked into specific kind of technologies, and understanding that the technology at the end of the day is just an enabler and not the starting point. It never has to be the starting point. So I believe that every single experience across my career taught me something that is extremely valuable right now in everything that I'm doing and in every kind of engagement that I'm having with my clients.
Yeah. So you mentioned about the immersive technologies, the Oculus, and we have now Vision Pro, which is very impressed in terms of the technology stack that exists in that technology, that tool. And what do you think? Because certainly we didn't see that adoption rate that we hoped for to see.
Yeah.
Where do you think that we're going with the immersive technology now that Apple is in the game? And I don't think Apple is backing up. This is a first generation into this spatial computing, they call it, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Apple Vision Pro opened up a series of very eye-opener opportunities when it comes to high fidelity pass-through and mixed reality. And obviously, when it comes to the interaction with the operative system, it's an extremely sophisticated interface. And obviously, nobody better than Apple knows how to do these kind of things. That said, I believe that the approach that Meta is having right now is probably the one that is winning the most, because obviously they've been cutting their teeth with Oculus and then the Quest for many, many years now. Although a lot of bridges have been burned since then, and a lot of people unfortunately lost their job because of this. I suppose that probably there was a sort of a mismatch of marketing message when they announced that they were changing their name from Facebook to Meta. Investors thought that this was going to be a quick turnaround. They didn't understand that was going to be a 10 years journey. And obviously, after 18 months after the announcement, they came to knock at the door, and there were no revenues that were being generated substantially as they were hoping for. And a shift in the direction of the management has to be done. But look, at the same time, everything that is happening with the Ray-Ban glasses and now the Oakley glasses, along with the integration with AI tools like Llama, is certainly the direction that is going to create killer use case for the consumers. The problem is that we don't see yet fully realize the vision of glasses that will overlay digital information on top of our reality in a photorealistic way. Not yet. The Orion proof of concept is still very expensive and very bulky. And I think that we need substantial innovation when it comes to the networks, because cloud XR is certainly the future of this technology. We cannot expect to have processors that will compute 3D graphics. Highly sophisticated and ray traced 3D graphics on small wearable devices. So a lot of new innovation need to happen from a silicon perspective, from an infrastructure perspective. Also, from other kind of fields, like, for example, digital identity perspective and so on, in order to make this dream of a portal into the digital reality in the real world and a portal for us into the digital world to happen in a mass market level. But I can see clearly that this is happening. And funny enough, AI is a very key component for this to happen. In my book of October 2022, called Understanding the Metaverse, a Business and Ethical Guide, published by Wiley, there's a full chapter about the importance of AI in the metaverse stack, in this infrastructure that we call the metaverse, which right now seems like a swear word, but at the time made a lot of sense, especially for many people in the industry. I believe that the concept is not obsolete and is not stupid. It was just too early to talk about it in order to generate real value, at least for the consumers, because enterprise are already generating value for that kind of technology. Look what's happening right now, especially with Omniverse and everything that is related to digital twins and synthetic training automation for robotics and AMRs. It's absolutely impressive. Yeah, I think that the future is bright, and I can see that before the end of this decade, we're going to see an explosion of those devices that we were dreaming of at the beginning of 2020s.
So it's coming. It's just not at the speed of what we hoped for. Right? I remember because I was talking to Ori Inbar, from AWA.
Yeah.
And, I remember from days in New York and when early meetups. This was like 15 years ago, and I was talking to him just recently. I was doing the a Bold Talks podcast with him, and yeah, it's been quite a ride, but it's already here and it's not going
Yeah.
away. And it's truly is going to sweep the world as we're moving to this Web3 immersive thing. I truly believe that there's so much to do. I think a lot of people, they see it as a clunky device. I mean, I have this Quest here, it's like clunky, and it makes you dizzy if you keep it for more than an hour, right? But certainly, I mean, these technologies will shrink and will make it, like you said, like Oculus and the rest. So truly bright, right? So I'm really looking for it. Now, Nick, congratulations writing the book. You mentioned about your book.
Thank you.
The name of the book was, I remember, was the Understanding the Metaverse, right? You talk about or you explore the business and ethical dimension of the metaverse. How do
Yeah.
you see these responsibilities evolving with the rise of now generative AI? How do you see that?
Well, funny enough, as I said, although the book has been published in 2022 and has been written October 2022 and has been written between March and August 2022, way before the crazy hype of ChatGPT and all the generative AI
Yeah.
that's happened a little bit later, a little bit after. The book has a full chapter about the role of AI in the technology stack of the metaverse infrastructure. So in the book, I'm covering also the aspect of deep usage of biometric data and personalization of content for persuasion and for sales. Because, I mean, if a headset is able to understand, for example, the dilation of your pupil or your blood pressure and your heartbeat from the way that the white part of your eye change color and the frequency on how it changed color, because obviously there's a very slight shift from that. And you can track the eye movement of the person, and you can track potentially also the mouth of the person, if the person smiles or frowns or so on. You can collect very in-depth biometric data of the person and understand what makes you tick and what makes your heart skip a beat. If it's a red car, if it's a house with the swimming pool, or if it's something that is related to a particular kind of political ideology. So and when you have all of this data and you can understand deeply the person that you have in that headset, it's very easy to create profiles that potentially can be manipulated from a content perspective with chatbots, with images, with videos, with anything to purchase a specific kind of product, buy a specific kind of car, or change to a specific kind of political ideas, swing towards a specific kind of political ideology. So it's very important to be aware of this, and it's very important to raise our voice, especially people that are operating in the immersive technology field, in the AI field right now, about the potential danger and the misuse of this kind of tools. Thanks God, the European Union is way ahead when it comes to regulations. A lot of people are saying that they're curbing innovation with all this regulation. I believe that, thanks God, that they're protecting the European citizens from things that are happening around the world. One of the recent surveys from a global political survey institution stated that about 70% of the current world population is under a certain kind of regime. And obviously this wasn't counting in the United
You said
States.
17%?
Yeah.
Wow.
About 70% of the world population is
70.
subject to a
Wow.
70, yeah, is subject to a specific kind of political control and regime that is not fully democratic, which is an astonishing amount of people. If you think about it, it makes you aware of how important it is to retain our freedom and to fight for it, especially right now that we are moving towards a world controlled by large corporation that are the biggest donors of political parties and presidents, as you probably may have seen in the last American elections.
Yeah, and I think this is the where we are right now. It's we're in a crossroad. I was in one of those roundtables yesterday, and we're talking about leadership in the era of AI.
Yeah.
And when you look at, for example, we are at the stage where now people are starting to completely give that replacement of even thinking. And
Yeah.
so what we have this attention span, like it's lower than a goldfish. Uh,
Yeah.
and so that becomes, because now people they don't even want to think for themselves.
Correct.
There's that becomes like there's no reference point. And then so what do you know, what is true, what's not? So now you become heavily reliant on
They're outsourcing their critical thinking,
yeah. So it's
which is, yeah, it's scary, but at the same time, I believe that there's always been this kind of way of offloading things whenever possible. It's going to be a sort of a natural selection, I suppose. There will be people that will understand how to use this tool because at the end of the day, AI is a tool in a better way than others, retaining their intellectual freedom and retaining also their full capacity of critical thinking, while at the same time maximizing and augmenting their capacity of being productive and also being effective in the kind of work that they're doing. Unfortunately, I believe that there will be a much higher degree of potential for manipulation uh, using these kind of technologies from, I don't know, hostile countries or extremist political parties more than ever in the human history. So even the future of a democratic institution like the European Union could be endangered by the arrival of this new life form that is going to be AGI and after that ASI, which is
yeah.
even more scary.
Now, Nick, have you on you're host of a podcast and a speaker.
Yeah, shift. Yeah.
You constantly meet, interview, and exchange ideas with pioneers in innovation, all the immersive technologies. What's one conversation that completely changed your perspective?
Well, it was in 2016. No, actually 17. It was 2017, and it was a talk organized by the Royal Television Society, which I was part of at the time while I was working at IBM. At that time, I was leading the global aerospace and defense immersive team. Um, for IBM. And I had the pleasure and the privilege of meeting in person a hero of mine that has been a hero of mine since I was a teenager because it was operating in the field of advanced video game programming. And then it became one of the most important names in this AI revolution that we're living today. Also, Nobel Prize laureate. I'm talking about Mr. Demis Hassabis. And the conversation that I had with Demis was enlightening related to how important it is for modern AI systems, and Transformer already existed at that time, to have an awareness of the world and awareness of how to move in space using synthetic data that could be only provided using 3D engine and 3D technologies. And it was enlightening because I was connecting the dots across all my passions. We were talking about video games, we're talking about 3D engines, immersive technologies, we're talking about AI and robotics and so on. And I believe that conversation really pushed me to go deep into the rabbit hole of what is possible with emerging technologies like XR and AI, both for enterprise and consumers.
Amazing. Nick, this is a short format conversation. We'll love to carry on for a longer format, hopefully next time. I always like to ask this as a last question to my guests, and that is like, what does the word bold mean to you?
Provocative, thought provocative,
Mhm.
high stakes, high reward. I think that a lot of people don't understand that if you don't put your signpost far away, you're not going to reach your objective um, in a way that is seriously bold and disruptive and game changing for the industry or for the work that you're doing. See what's happening also with a lot of people. I mean, I'm not a big fan from a political standpoint, but people like Elon Musk is a great example of this. Claiming we're going to go to Mars, claiming we're going to have self-driving cars, claiming, I'm going to create humanoid robots and so on. Maybe is not achieving what he claimed he wants to achieve in the amount of time that he says. But certainly this is driving a vector of commitment and hard work and focus because he knows where he wants to go. He's extremely bold. And obviously this is sooner or later going to drive this person to achieve those goals. And slowly, not exactly in the timing, that's the time frame that he claimed at the beginning, is going to be able to achieve them. Push the boundaries and set your goals higher than what you think you could achieve. This is going to work wonders in being bold for your career.
Amazing. Make big and bold claims. Nick Rosa, thank you for joining me in this Bold Talk series.
Pleasure.
Have a great summer, and looking forward to seeing you again soon. Until that time, take care, be great, and be bold always. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Epi. It's been a pleasure. Hello, everybody.